Hey everyone, it's Alexi Uzas here from Exile Entertainment. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how your film education failed you and what you should do about it. Before I start this video, I wanted to let you know that spots are now available for our Producing Accelerator program that helps filmmakers consistently finance and produce their films. So if you want more information on that, you're going to want to stick around to the end of this video. And for the best filmmaking advice, subscribe to this channel to be notified when we post a video. Alright, now let's get started. The first point that I want to make is by far the most obvious point, and that is that at film school, most filmmakers don't actually learn about film finance. Now, this is quite shocking to most people when they hear it, and it is something that filmmakers that I speak with are still extremely surprised that they didn't learn this fundamental subject at film school. Or if they did learn it, they didn't really learn it in any depth, and all they were told was how to apply to grants and try and seek soft money for their film. So most filmmakers go through a 3 to 4 year program at university, and they learn all the technical skills required to make a film. And for producers, they learn how to execute the physical production of a film, and they learn to do that at a really high level. So a lot of the technical skills that are learned at film school are great, and they set up filmmakers to be able to succeed in those technical fields and in those technical areas. But there is a lack of teaching filmmakers about a fundamental lever of the filmmaking process, which is film finance. Because when you're at film school, you can make short films for really low budgets. A lot of the time you get the equipment for free, you get a lot of assistance from your schoolmates, and so it becomes easy to make a short film on a low budget, and that can still have really high production values and can get into major festivals. But the problem is once you leave film school, you find that you have no knowledge and no experience around film finance and around trying to get up a much larger project like a feature film or a series. And so really one of the fundamental reasons that filmmakers aren't able to get their films financed is just that they don't have the knowledge, they weren't taught about film finance, and they don't have any experience when it comes to film finance. Similar to the issue that filmmakers have with learning about film finance at film school, the same problem applies to film distribution and marketing. And these two areas are also crucial when it comes to financing your film, because having an understanding of how distribution works is extremely important when you're trying to raise finance for your project, for two reasons. Firstly, it's important for you to be able to explain to a potential investor how you're going to generate a return from the exploitation of the film. Secondly, distributors and sales agents can actually form part of your finance plan and can bring in finance to your project. So having an understanding of distribution is vital to film financing. On the marketing side, again, when it comes to distributing your film and reaching an audience, marketing is extremely important because it means that you understand who the actual audience is for your film, how you're going to reach that audience, and then how you're going to turn that audience into paying customers. And so those two areas are crucial to film finance. And a lot of filmmakers that I speak to come out of film school and they don't have that understanding about distribution. They don't know who the right sales agents or distributors are. They don't know how to approach them. They don't really know what a deal looks like. And how revenue is distributed between distributors and the production company. And so there's this real knowledge gap when it comes to these three areas: film finance, distribution, and marketing. And because the universities and film schools have really focused on the technical side, a lot of the time they haven't addressed these areas, these fundamental areas, in any real depth. The third point that I want to talk about is the often heard phrase, teachers teach because they can't do. Now, I don't think this is really fair but it does speak volumes to some of the experience that I've had dealing with filmmakers. So I remember on a phone call that I had with a filmmaker recently, he started taking me through his understanding of film finance, which was really just to approach the main government agencies for soft money, and he wasn't sure how to finance his film other than through that route. And so I asked him, well, how did you come to learn about this way of financing a film? And of course he said that he learned that at film school and at university. And so I asked him, well, who taught you this? And he said, a lecturer. And I said, well, how many lecturers do you have? And he said, about 5 or 6. And I said, well, how many films have those 5 or 6 lecturers made? And he said, 1. And so that was a really telling thing for me to hear, because I think it speaks to the fact that a lot of the teachers that are at film school or university don't have that hands-on experience when it comes to financing films. And that creates an issue where what they're teaching isn't really based on real-world experience. And on the flip side of the phrase that I mentioned earlier, the best teachers are the ones that do have that experience, right? They're the ones that do. And so I want to give an example of the master-apprentice relationship, which has been around for centuries. And it is responsible for most of the great art and artists that have been created. And the reason is that you had apprentices that were working with established masters of their craft for years before they went out and started trying their art on their own. And so there are examples all the way from Socrates and Plato to Da Vinci to Picasso, all these artists who went through that period of intense apprenticeship. And they learned from teachers who had actually done. They had mastered their craft, and they were now passing on that knowledge to their students. And so I wanted to bring up that phrase because I think it really does show, again, one of the fundamental issues with film school. And of course, it's not true of every lecturer, it's not true of every teacher. There are great teachers out there who do have that hands-on experience. But really what I found speaking to a lot of filmmakers is that there is a divide, there is a gap between the real life knowledge of how to finance films and then what is taught in the classroom. Which all leads me to my last point, which is, what should you do about it? Or in my view, what you should do about it is get out there and start practicing. Start learning about film finance, putting it into practical application, failing, and then learning, and then trying again. Because there's no greater way to learn something than to actually do it. So first you need to acquire the knowledge around film finance. So if you don't have that knowledge from film school or from university, the first step is to acquire that knowledge. The next step, once you have that knowledge, is to apply it practically. So you go out there and you make attempts to finance your film, you make attempts to get your film up, and if you fail, you learn from those failures, you learn from those mistakes, you pick yourself up and you keep going and you try again. And then if you can find a mentor to work with, that's another great way to just accelerate your learning process and to learn from someone that has really done that before and is able to pass on that knowledge to you. If you can't find a mentor, you should still just try and do it yourself, because there's going to be no better way than just getting out there and trying it. So while your film education may have failed you in these key areas, it's not the end of it for you, because what you should do about it is acquire those skills yourself, get out there, start practically applying it, fail, learn from those failures, and try again until it works. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked the video, hit the like button below, subscribe to this channel so that you can be notified when we post a video each week. And check us out on social media. We're at Exile Accelerator. Also, if you have any comments about this video, we'd love to hear about your experience through film school and leaving film school and trying to apply the skills that you learned to get your film up and into production. Also, if you want to set up a time to have a chat about your project, you can schedule a call with us using the link below. So you'll be setting up a time to speak with either me or a member of my team about your project, and we'll be working out where you're at with it, where you're trying to get to, and whether you're a good fit for the accelerator program. So you want to go ahead and hit the link below, set up that time, and go through the application process, and we'll be speaking with you very soon. And check out these videos next on how to up your filmmaking game.